Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm in a different location. I'm here with Emma Cannon in her Chelsea rooms. Now Emma Cannon is an incredible acupuncturist and like a fertility goddess, and she has just released a new book called Fertile, which I'm really excited to talk about because me and Emma have known each other for like a few years now. How we sort of got to know each other was I wasn't getting regular periods. When I came off the pill, I didn't get a period for 2 years, then twice in a year, and then I came to see Emma and she just helped regulate them, made me understand a lot more about my fertility, and I just think she is just the most amazing woman ever, so I had to introduce you to her today because she has so much knowledge around fertility and health, and you know, you've written so many books, but this book is less about sort of making a baby but more about being fertile as a woman.
Yeah, I think so? Yes, I think it reaches outside of baby making. Of course it is about having a baby, but I think the message is broader as well. It's about how we can all live a kind of more fertile life. So yeah, there's lots of messages out there for people, even if you're not trying for a baby, but you might want one in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we don't think about fertility until we want to get pregnant, do we? We're like, I don't want to get pregnant, I don't want to get pregnant. And then suddenly we switch and we just think our body's going to like work for us, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think that we think that it's going to be really easy, and we spend a lot of our life saying, please don't let me be pregnant. And then when we want it to sort of all kick in, it can take a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought we could talk through like the 4 pillars of fertility: food, movement, mindset, and lifestyle.
Sure.
So should we talk about food first?
Yep, let's talk about food.
Because that's literally the question I get asked more than anything. It's like, what did you eat to become pregnant? And I'm like, I think a lot of people think it's one magic food, don't they?
And I think that is a mistake. I think this idea that if we eat masses of one sort of fertility superfood that we're going to get pregnant is a little bit misguided. And for me, it's much more about an approach to eating.
Okay.
And also I think we're all very individual as well, and that this idea that one size fits all clearly isn't really the case. And I think that this is coming through more and more, and science is showing this as well. And medicine is moving much more in that direction, that different people need different approaches. And I think the same is true of nutrition as well. So part of my book is about learning to identify your strengths and weaknesses and what kind of type you are. So I talk a lot about hot foods, cold foods, if you're a hot person or a cold person, or if you have too much damp in the body. Yeah,
so it's very individual.
Very individual, and I try to mimic my clinic as much as possible, and that help you be a sort of your own diagnostician, you know. So yeah, it's quite fun.
And would you say, I mean, I know with a lot of people, you know, you have to be eating quite a good amount, don't you? You don't want to be underweight, you don't want to be overweight, you kind of want to be that in-between weight you want to basically be able to have regular cycles.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's interesting because the archetypal image of a fertile woman is sort of much more rounded than perhaps a lot of people are these days.
I always think of Aphrodite.
Yes, so a little bit of flesh on the hips and things like that is good for fertility. So yes, having a low BMI under 19 or having a high BMI, either end of the spectrum isn't considered to be good for fertility. So yeah, obviously somewhere in the middle is definitely preferable. And I think as well, you know, if you are trying to lose weight, not to do it too dramatically, too quickly, because then the body thinks that it's starving and it goes into some sort of protection mode. So
you gotta just be easy and gentle.
Yeah, so any weight loss needs to be done slowly. Yeah.
Okay. And then exercise. I know I felt really nervous to exercise when I was trying to get pregnant because I didn't want to, like, I don't know, disrupt it, and I don't know what it was. I felt a bit unsure of what exercises to do when I was getting pregnant, and I definitely wanted to like steer away from hardcore gym stuff because it was more about sort of feeling good in my body. Yeah. So what would you say what's the best exercise to be doing to boost your fertility?
I mean, I think there is quite a lot of research coming through about excessive exercise being not good for fertility. But I think movement and actually getting the energy and the chi to move around your body is really, really important.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all feel better when we do a bit of exercise. Definitely. So, you know, I think exercise has become a very important part of life and a part of what we all do to make us feel good, but you can definitely take it too far. So I think it really depends on your starting point. If you've always been a really, really fit person, then clearly you're going to be able to do a lot more. I think for people who are struggling, I tend to take them off things like the running and things like that, because I think there are 2 times in our evolution, that we would have run, and once when you're being chased by something that wanted to eat you, and once when you were chasing something because you wanted to eat it. So I think it sort of floods the body with hormones or cortisol, not so healthy for fertility.
And it can definitely be quite uncomfortable. Like, I know when I'm like running for the bus, I can feel my belly like shaking.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely once you're pregnant. But of course there will be people out there that said, that have fallen pregnant while running. Of course, there's always that. I think it's just, if it's taking you a little bit longer, then maybe you just want to reduce the exercise so that you're not over exercising. And if you're sitting around doing nothing, then you probably need to do a bit more exercise. But yoga's really good, and walking and swimming, all of those sort of things are really good.
Yeah, especially. And I think exercise does connect you with your body, which is really important.
Sure.
And then mindset. What would you say the mindset of a fertile person is?
Well, happy is good. Happy is good and fun. I think when you start trying to conceive, it's really important to keep the fun there. Yeah. I think a lot of people do the sort of project wedding, project house, and then they move on to project baby, and it's all a bit regimented. And I think it's very important to try and keep a lightness of touch there and a bit of mystery perhaps, and it's exciting when you start, but I think it can also be a bit pressurizing as well. So not to sort of go straight out and start peeing on sticks and reducing your sex life down to twice a month. I think that's a bit misguided, but just to try and keep the lightness there. And as much as we want to involve our partners, sometimes I think it's better to keep a little bit of mystery there. Okay. Because I think even though in the beginning it might feel light, it can build up attention over time.
Yeah, I think especially when you're trying for a while, it feels more difficult.
Yeah.
I definitely think mindset's so important, and talking about it with other people as well, and not feeling too stressed or too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, and it can take a little bit of time, and I think that's really important, and it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're doing everything right and it hasn't worked, it doesn't automatically mean that there's something wrong. So even when there's nothing wrong, it can take a year, and that's considered quite normal. So I think that modern couples are, the expectation is there that if I work really hard at something, then I will achieve my goal. Absolutely. But fertility isn't really like that.
Yeah, well, it's out of your control in some senses, isn't it? You can't make things happen in the way you might with something else. Yeah,
that's right. And it definitely isn't a situation where the harder I try, the luckier I get. Although, just have fun trying.
Don't forget to have sex.
Yes, it's very important. But sex throughout the month, I think, is important. There's quite a lot of research actually to suggest that the sperm needs to turn over regularly. So if you're just saving it to that fertile window, it's better to do it throughout the month.
Okay. I like it. I mean, it's a fun thing to do.
It is.
And then lifestyle. So I know you talk a bit about like plastic water bottles, trying to reduce your plastic consumption.
Yes, I think one of the first things, I call it my sort of fertile cleanse, and it's a sort of play on the word cleanse because it's sort of cleansing your environment a bit rather than a detox, which I'm not so keen on that idea. But it's just about cleaning up your environment of your house. And maybe what you need to do is, when you start thinking about having a baby, is every time you go to the supermarket, perhaps replace one of your normal products with something a little bit softer. I mean, I think this is a really healthy thing for all of us to do anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
But it can be quite expensive. You have to sort of suddenly go out and replace everything. But just replacing some of the more harsh products with things like Ecover and Mover, I think, is another one.
Yeah, so you're talking about like washing up liquid detergent. Yeah, I know. I notice if I'm not using, I use Ecover quite a lot. If I'm not using a natural washing up powder, I can really smell it. Like it makes me feel a bit sick.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing how many scents and fragrances are in things, and you can get quite overwhelmed. So it's quite nice to kind of keep it natural.
Yeah, and food wrapping and things like that. So not using cellophanes and things like that. So keeping cooking in glass and and storing food in glass and not sort of wrapping or cooking with plastics and things like that, because that leaks estrogens and xenoestrogens into the food.
So don't microwave your takeaway.
No. Fire. It's good to cook with fire.
Absolutely. Oh, well, it's so interesting. Like, I think that fertility is something that I think so many people are actually interested in, even though they might not be thinking about having a child. I think it's kind of this magical thing that we do, and I'm still like in awe of my body and like what it's going through and what it's about to go through. So I think it's great to kind of know a few things to boost along the way, because we've almost forgotten them.
Oh my goodness.
Time,
I mean, if you think about conception, it's the ultimate in creativity, isn't it? It's just like this incredible thing that happens, and I'm still in awe of it myself, even 20 something years later. And it's just so, what goes on inside the female body, and the male, the meeting of the sperm and the egg, the implanting in the wall of the uterus, and it in a way, a lot of it is out of our control. So I think the less controlling we are in this situation, the better, really.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Well, Emma's book is out now, so I will put the link down below to buy it. It's amazing. It's got loads of tips on fertility. It's also got lots of really delicious recipes in there as well. And if you live in London, you must come and see Emma. She is an incredible acupuncturist, and just being around her, you feel like a fertile woman. So she's got a good energy about her. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you've got any questions for us, and I'll see you next time. Bye!